Hi, this is Human Essence, and this is Sleepy Lawsuit time. So lie down, relax, and if you want to hear all the details of Justin Baldoni's case against the New York Times, get comfortable and I'll read it to you. Plaintiffs Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, Melissa Nathan, the agency group, PRLLC, Jennifer Abel, RWA Communications, Jed Wallace, and Street Relations are the plaintiffs. At 9:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, December 20th, the 2024, New York Times reporter Megan Toohey requested plaintiffs' response to an imminent 4,000-word bombshell story concerning their alleged orchestration of a smear campaign targeting Blake Lively, purportedly in response to Lively's disclosure of concerns about the working environment on the set of It Ends With Us, the film. The film's production company, where its principals, Baldoni and Heath, and its public relations representatives, Nathan and Abel, were asked to provide on-the-record comment and to notify the Times of any inaccuracies by noon Eastern Standard Time the next day, on December 21st, 2024, of mere 14 hours overnight. Plaintiffs' representatives promptly denied Lively's accusations as reported by the Times and criticized both Lively and the Times' reliance on cherry-pick and altered communications stripped of necessary context and deliberately spliced to mislead. Despite its claims to have reviewed these along with other documents, the Times relied almost entirely on Lively's unverified and self-serving narrative, lifting it nearly verbatim while disregarding an abundance of evidence that contradicted her claims and exposed her true motives. But the Times did not care. Given the breadth of the article and the coordinated drop, it is readily apparent that the Times had been working in concert with Lively's team for weeks or months. The Times participated actively in the legal maneuvering at the heart of Lively's strategy. Notably, Lively chose not to file a lawsuit against Baldoni, Wayfarer, or any of the plaintiffs, a choice that spared her from the scrutiny of discovery process, including answering questions under oath and producing her communications. This decision was no accident. First, her administrative complaint is rife with blatant falsehoods and egregious misrepresentations that would have subjected her to dismissal, if not sanctions. Second, pursuing formal legal action would have derailed her true objective, an orchestrated campaign to rehabilitate her public image. Instead, Lively filed a request for a right to sue letter with the California Civil Rights Department, CRD, a procedural formality that does not require pleadings, remains confidential unless leaked as it was here, and crucially does not subject the complainant to discovery. While such a letter can precede a lawsuit, it is clear that litigation was never her ultimate goal. Her real intention was to weaponize the appearance of legitimacy conferred by a numbered legal document to launch salacious, headline-grabbing allegations and reshape her public persona at the expense of the plaintiffs. Lively found willing allies at the New York Times, which uncritically embraced her CRD complaint as fact and disregarded the plaintiffs' emphatic objections. Without even waiting for the response deadline of noon Eastern Standard Time on December 21st, 2024, the Times rushed to publish its inflammatory article, "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine," at 10:11 a.m., nearly 2 hours early. This brazen disregard for journalistic integrity and fairness resulted in an article rife with inaccuracies, misrepresentations, and omissions. In an era where public trust in media has reached a historic low and legacy outlets are increasingly criticized as biased and agenda-driven, The Times has chosen to double down on sensationalism and oversimplified narratives. Rather than striving for accuracy and balance, it has prioritized hollow signaling over substantive reporting, further eroding its credibility and exacerbating the very mistrust it claims to combat. The article's central thesis, encapsulated in a defamatory headline designed to immediately mislead the reader, is that plaintiffs orchestrated a retaliatory public relations campaign against Lively for speaking out about sexual harassment, a premise that is categorically false and easily disproven. If the Times truly reviewed the thousands of private communications it claimed to have obtained, its reporters would have seen incontrovertible evidence that it was Lively, not plaintiffs, who engaged in a calculated smear campaign. The complete communications demonstrate beyond question that plaintiffs had no intention of destroying or burying Lively through aggressive tactics. On the contrary, Baldoni consistently expressed his desire to avoid harming Lively and protect the film, but also recognized a legitimate need for public relations protection in light of Lively's false and damaging claims. The article is predicated on Lively's CRD complaint, which references text messages between Nathan and Abel as purported evidence that Nathan planted a negative story in the Daily Mail titled, "Is Blake Lively set to be canceled?" Lively's portrayal is categorically false, misleading, and devoid of factual basis, yet knowingly endorsed by the Times, which claimed to have reviewed thousands of pages of text messages and emails. The smear campaign hinges on an August 16 text exchange in which Nathan allegedly shared a link to this article with Abel. The text exchange shows Abel responding, "Wow," followed by, "You really outdid yourself this one," to which Nathan allegedly replied, that's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." These messages constitute the entirety of the purported evidence underlying the allegation of smear campaign orchestrated on behalf of Baldoni. The Times, however, was aware that these text messages were unscrupulously altered and selectively edited, enabling both Lively and her team and the Times to propagate a false smear campaign narrative designed to destroy plaintiffs. Specifically, in the immediately preceding text exchange on August 16th, Nathan followed a screenshot of a message from a reporter informing her for the first time of the Daily Mail article. In response, Nathan wrote, "Damn, this is not fair because it's also not me," followed by everything now looks like it's me, conclusively refuting her involvement in the creation or dissemination of the article. Further evidence of the Times complicity arises from its apparent endorsement of the criminal alteration of these text messages by Lively. After Nathan forwarded a screenshot of the article link, Abel responded with, "You really outdid yourself with this piece," smiling upside down emoji, adding a smiling upside down emoji to indicate the sarcastic nature of the message. The smiling upside down emoji is commonly used to convey irony, sarcasm, joking, or a sense of goofiness or silliness. In her CRD complaint, Lively deliberately excluded not only the preceding screenshot of the text exchange disproving Nathan's involvement in the story, but also the upside-down emoji, which fundamentally alters the sarcastic tone of Abel's message and misleads the reader into interpreting her response as serious. This omitted context is critical, as it demonstrates that each subsequent message in the exchange was similarly intended as sarcasm, including Nathan's statements, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." Further review of the text message exchange, also excluded from both Lively's CRD complaint and the Times article, unequivocally shows that Abel and Nathan were engaging in a sarcastic and joking manner, as evidenced by the use of the ha-ha tap-back reaction. When read in full, the exchange reveals Nathan and Abel engaging in a facetious juvenile banter, not conspiring against Lively. The Times relied on Lively's CRG complaint and, based solely on this exchange, intentionally duped readers into believing that Baldoni orchestrated a smear campaign, purportedly using Nathan and Abel as his accomplices. Indeed, the Times, like Lively, misrepresented these communications to support its salacious and unfounded smear campaign narrative. This calculated distortion underscores the article's lack of credibility and its reliance on sensationalism over substantive truth. Any negative press about Lively was unequivocally a consequence of her own actions. Even the Times itself acknowledged Lively's public missteps in August 17, 2024 article titled, "It Ends With Us, the Press Tour Drama Explained." In it, reporter Shivani Gonzalez observed, Lively's promotion of the movie has included a push for her new hair care line, discussion of the clothes in the movie, and response to questions about abuse, which have been criticized as shallow and tone deaf. Baldoni, by contrast, has emphasized the importance of raising awareness of domestic violence and providing resources for those in similar situations. Lively's marketing efforts, which included encouraging audiences to grab your friends, wear your florals, was promoting her hair care and alcohol brands, were widely criticized as insensitive. This was particularly glaring given World Health Organization statistics showing that 55% of domestic violence incidents involve alcohol. Her actions naturally triggered organic public criticism and unleashed a cycle of negative coverage, including, as is common in the digital age, the resurfacing of old, unflattering content. Far from being the product of a calculated smear campaign by plaintiffs, the backlash against Lively was the inevitable fallout of her tone-deaf messaging and self-promotional tactics, amplified by her inability to read the room in addressing such a serious subject. The article also deliberately ignores that Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, a Vision PR once backed by Harvey Weinstein, cited stories critical of Baldoni, including that Baldoni was a sexual predator. Ahead of the film's release, Sloan did so even while Nathan attempted to cooperate in good faith. Wow, a lot of attachments here. Oh my goodness, a lot. Yep. To assert that plaintiffs orchestrated a premeditated smear campaign is to disregard objective evidence that unequivocally contradicts such claims. Even a cursory investigation by the Times would have exposed the baseless nature of Lively's allegations and the lack of factual support for her narrative. Most troubling, however, is the Times' deliberate omission of a critical player in this manufactured controversy, Stephanie Jones. Once Baldoni and Wayfarer's trusted public relations representative, Jones not only had intimate access to the communication strategy and crisis management surrounding the film, but also played a pivotal role in leaking private communications cited in the article. Her betrayal, driven by a quid pro quo arrangement with Lively, appears aimed at shielding herself while aligning with Lively to curry favor and secure future opportunities. The Times compounded its journalistic failures by uncritically advancing Lively's unsubstantiated claims of sexual harassment against Heath and Baldoni. For example, the article based on Lively's CRD complaint essentially alleges that Mr. Heath had shown Lively a video of his naked wife, with Lively's CRD complaint even labeling the footage as pornography. This claim is patently absurd. The video in question was a non-pornographic recording of Heath's wife and baby during a home birth. a deeply personal one that had no sexual overtone. To distort this benign event into an act of sexual misconduct is outrageous and emblematic of the lengths to which Lively and her collaborators are willing to go to defame plaintiffs. The Times' failure to scrutinize these claims or even provide a balanced account of the events further underscore its role in amplifying Lively's falsehoods while abandoning its responsibility to truth and accuracy. The video was shown to Lively as part of a creative discussion in preparation for a birthing scene in the film. Heath informed Lively that his wife condoned his displaying of the video. Any suggestion that Heath engaged in an exhibition of pornography or in inappropriate content is false. Adding to the sexual harassment narrative is the article's parroted accusation that both men repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressing, including when she was breastfeeding. What Lively in the article failed to mention is that Lively invited Baldoni into her trailer while pumping to work out their lines. Likewise, the allegation that Baldoni inappropriately described Lively's character attire as sexy is exaggerated and misleading. I'm going to interrupt here to say that the outfit was a onesie and he was trying to encourage her to take off her coat. The text exchanges between Baldoni and Lively showed that Lively had insisted that her character's clothing be much sexier. When Baldoni later used the word sexy, he was just responding to her creative input, not objectifying her personally. Lively set the tone that Baldoni needed during the creative process. Also misleading, the article draws on Lively's assertion that Baldoni improvised unwanted kissing and discussed his sex life. However, both the Times and Lively's intentionally exclude that Lively refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out the film's sex scenes. Baldoni, in turn, was forced to meet with the intimacy coordinator alone and relay any suggestion to Lively separately. Notwithstanding Baldoni's reluctance, he and Lively would later sketch out the scenes together, absent the intimacy coordinator. As part of those creative discussions, Baldoni and Lively sought to personalize and develop their characters, and in doing so, engage in conversation about their individual experiences. The Times, taking Lively's CRD complaint as true, characterized these discussions as an inappropriate attempt by Baldoni to talk about his sex life. It was not. More still, Baldoni consistently acted at the discretion of the intimacy coordinator. Those baseless accusations do not constitute sexual harassment. And since this came out, there's those videos that have come out, which you probably see online. Despite its effort to craft a distorted narrative, the Times fails to address a glaring contradiction in Lively's CRD complaint. After the execution of the Protections for Return to Production Agreement in November 2023, Lively herself acknowledged that the film was completed, marketed, and released safely and successfully, while Wayfarer, Baldoni, and Heath disagreed with Lively's rationale for requesting the document. Many of its provisions were already standard practice. They chose to comply for the sake of the film and to ensure Lively's comfort. Crucially, Lively concedes that neither Baldoni nor Heath engaged in any harassing behavior following the agreement in November 2023. Furthermore, she admits that her stated concerns were sufficiently addressed at that time. These admissions directly undermined her allegation of retaliation and strips her claims of credibility. Without the fabricated smear campaign narrative propping up her CRD complaint, Lively's retaliation claim collapses under its own contradictions, exposing it as yet another ploy to salvage her public image rather than pursue any legitimate grievance. The fact that Lively embarked on a hostile takeover of the production, strong-arming Sony into blessing her with ultimate control, as they became increasingly frantic and unsettled by the usurpation of their roles. Baldoni remained resolute that they continued to take the high road and be proud of the beautiful baby they'd all made together. Notwithstanding, Lively waged war on Baldoni, weaponizing innocuous interactions from May and June 2023, long before there was any tension between them, to vilify and discredit him. At the time, Baldoni and Lively had a solid working relationship, and Lively expressed no unease around him. Only after the writer's strike had ended and filming was set to resume did Lively express any concern about returning to set. In response, Wayfarer and Baldoni agreed to all of Lively's demands. We have more. To suggest, as the time does, that plaintiffs engaged in dark arts to destroy Lively's reputation is to ignore that Lively had long-standing reputational challenges and that plaintiffs' public relations efforts were rudimentary, above board, and entirely defensive. The Times willingly omits any meaningful discussion of the true source of tension between Lively and the plaintiffs, which was Lively's brazen and calculated effort to expropriate the film. The Times' assertion that plaintiff orchestrated a campaign to tarnish Lively's reputation blatantly disregards her bizarre behavior at the time and misrepresents plaintiff's actions, which were modest, transparent, and purely defensive. The article entirely sidesteps the real source of conflict between Lively and plaintiffs, Lively's calculated and audacious attempt to seize control of the film. Notably absent from the Times narrative is Lively's insistence on obtaining edited privileges and demanding her own version of the film, a departure from industry standards. Even more egregiously, Lively leveled her promotional commitments to pressure for the release of her cut. Evidence of Baldoni's effort to accommodate Lively's demands, including a series of text exchanges with editors who were later replaced by Lively in favor of her husband's editor, underscores the extreme lengths Baldoni went to in order to preserve the film's integrity. The Times' willful omission of these critical details not only distorts the truth, but also perpetuates a false narrative that conveniently absolves Lively of her own capability in the unraveling of professional relationships and the upheaval surrounding the film. Also missing from the article is Lively's demand for an unearned producer credit and coveted PGA mark, a demand that Wayfarer and Baldoni were forced to concede under duress, as documented internally. Moreover, this article fails to address the fact that Baldoni was systematically sidelined from the marketing of his own film. From the very beginning, Baldoni had insisted on marketing the film with a focus on domestic violence and its survivors, a message that was integral to the film's purpose. Yet Lively drastically limited his input and deliberately steered the promotional campaign away from its societal message. Further undermining Baldoni's role, Lively initially refused to permit his attendance at the film's premiere. Only after significant pressure did she reluctantly agree to allow Baldoni and the Wayfarer team to attend, but under humiliating conditions. The Wayfarer team and their families, including Baldoni and Heath, were segregated from the main cast, barred from the exclusive after-party, and forced to organize their own event at additional cost. Baldoni's participation on the red carpet was cut short, and his family and friends were confined to a makeshift holding area in the basement before being escorted into a separate theater after Lively's departure. Not only had Lively stolen the film, but she also robbed Baldoni and his team of any genuine opportunity to celebrate their hard work. When Wayfair and Baldoni hired Lively to appear in the film, they did not anticipate that she would execute a hostile takeover of the entire project. Lively's cynical abuse of sexual harassment allegations to assert unilateral control over every aspect of the production was both strategic and manipulative. Simultaneously, her public image suffered as a result of a series of high-profile blunders, which she tried to deflect by blaming plaintiffs for the public prying interest into the foibles of an A-list celebrity. This is nothing but an excuse. Fame is a double-edged sword, but Lively's tactics here are unconscionable. Alongside the Times, they orchestrated a malicious attack on the reputations, careers, and personal lives of plaintiffs, subjecting them to public humiliation, threats, and vitriol. This lawsuit seeks to hold the Times accountable for its role in this defamation campaign, but plaintiffs are not done. There are other bad actors involved, and make no mistake, this will not be the last lawsuit. Parties and jurisdictions. I'm not going to read that. Jurisdiction and venue. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. That's the main points. So you've heard basically what Justin Baldoni's attorney had to say in his lawsuit to the Times. Thanks for listening, and I hope you got some rest.